Hello, everybody. Welcome to Your Own University's Masterclass with JD. Jennifer Dodge is an abstract creative, really a solutionist. She creates solutions with your creativity. And she's an intuitive coach. She's absolutely a visionary and an artist. And she has inspired me to step deeper into my creative goals. And she really sparks life into your dreams. So this is what's going to happen today in her masterclass. I cannot say enough about this woman. I am so excited to introduce her to Your Own University and to open you up to her classroom here at Y.O.U. I hope that you take the time to review this class over and over again and to get to know her in all of our social media streams. JD, thank you so much for being here and joining us.
Yay! Thank you so much, Lisha. It's a true pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to just be in this world, connecting with everyone at U and learning from you, and then also coaching with you and musing and blending our creative spark and really making that impact that our heart and soul is really calling of you. And that can be so many things, which we're going to talk about today. Your vibe, your emotion, your smile, your fulfillment in the process, and then the product is the art too. So we're going to dive in today. I believe this is 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to hop off. And guys, I'll be talking to you in our chat room. So Jennifer, if you need anything, I am your virtual assistant today. And I'm just going to turn on my picture. So everybody, thank you. Enjoy Jennifer. She is taking over. And yeah, if you need anything, I'm here. Are you good?
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Dive in.
Oh my gosh. Okay, perfect. So for those of you joining or anyone that's watching this course on the replay, it's 2019. It's JD here. My name is Jennifer Dodge. And as Lisha said, I am an intuitive coach and visionary producer, sparking your abstract creative solutions and bringing life to your creative vision. So today we're going to be diving into my signature course, my signature masterclass, Produce Your Life, all about really tuning in to the core character of you and then learning how to monetize and express that outward so that you are carving and producing your dream life. And it's I don't like to say dream life in an ingenuine word, because it really is your core heart, your core soul, your imagination, and your visionary dreams that maybe you have hoped for or wished for or imagined, whether you were a child or whether it's, something deep in your soul that you don't tell anyone about, or it's something that you aspire to be that you don't know that's possible for you now. So what I'm here to do for you today with my intention of this masterclass is to ground, root, and anchor you into that core vision of your character brand identity and help you really create that space of understanding and that honor for yourself, crafting that vision together. And then I'm here to really awaken and spark and push and coach and challenge you to jump into the beyond of a really pleasurable journey that is you producing your life on fire. Okay? So I want to fire you up. I want to help you really fall in love with yourself. And I want to teach you how to attract joy, attention, the lead role, publishing your book and taking those bold actions and getting so much pleasure, so much fulfillment, and so much exhilaration from the process. So we're going to dive in. And I'm going to start with my first category of this masterclass. And of course, feel free to comment if you have any questions at all. And you can email jenniferdodgepink@gmail.com as well. So we're going to talk about the spark. And the spark is that light inside of you. It's the real core character brand identity of you. And this gives me chills. It gives me I get a gut reaction from this, because when you can bring this to the table with your coaching, when you can bring this spark to the table with your relationships, when you can bring this spark to life on stage, fully expressed, and really bring that wave of energy with your audience to where everyone's connecting on a vibration, orgasmically, energetically, or otherwise, with music, with dance, with voice, with speaking, with poetry, with art, that brings you to places of humility and also places of absolute higher vibrations spiritually, it is so powerful. So we're talking about the spark of you really understanding your core impact, your core character, and really understanding on the conscious level how valuable that really is. So I'm going to sit with that value right now. And I'm going to use the words carve. I utilize the metaphor of the moon cycles and also gardening to translate and explain the process of manifestation, which relates to the tangibles of producing your life. So it's the difference between the metaphysical, the emotional, the abstract, the the intangible, the dream, the wish, the hope that doesn't exist yet, the fears that are, layered in there, versus the tangible of produce your life using your tools of communication, of attraction, of sexual energy and chemistry, and of authenticity, using your emotions to monetize money in your space and to get the part. So let me dive in to really be clear about the first step of what I'm speaking to you about and how that is translating for your goals. So I'm going to ask a question now because, if this was a live event, I would, of course, be engaging with humans in a different way than through a masterclass online, but I still would love to engage with you. So I would love to know, what is your core desire? And then I'm going to ask you, connected to that core desire, how does it relate to your character? So we're talking about desire. Desires can come from the brain. Desires can come from the heart. Desires can come from your spirit world or intuition. Desires can come from, mentors. And so we want to really dig in today with what you admitting your truth of what is your core desire. And then we're talking about how that connects to relating to the identity of your character, the one that you have layered inside of you, the one that desires to be expressed, maybe the one that is expressed but is looking to go to the next level, or there's a wild version of you that you're ready to uncover completely. So I hope you craft that entire picture for yourself, but this is the question I'm asking, these two parts. So Liz just says, ooh, to reach a large audience, I'm a showgirl is what came up immediately. I love it. Oh, snap. I'm a showgirl. I love that. And that has energy, and it has story in there, and it has a vibe of its own, and it has a character of its own. And I really love this because when we tap into these core desires of a desire to serve massively, a desire to impact at a quantum level, a desire to be legendary, to be remembered, to have an actual impact, carving that impact. It's so important to so many people. And then when you can really channel the identity of the superstar, of the icon, of the showgirl, and then you carry this different fire, this different force to be reckoned with, this different level of confidence, like Jennifer Lopez, where you cannot be stopped. You never hear no. You're completely respected, and you have loyal super fans that will follow you forever. And there's a difference between running from, avoiding, and hiding from your core desires or your receiving or your core self, or how to really open those portals of taking off like wildfire on a different level and allowing that pleasure and allowing that fame to come through, versus thinking it's something that exists outside of you someday, right? So we want to know our core desires, and we want to be present with that, and we want to accept them. We want to know how that relates to our identity and what we are portraying, how we are living, and being really raw and honest with that truth, even in the gritty details of what you're eating day to day, how you present yourself with your fashion, professionally or otherwise. And I could rant, but all of these details do compose the characters we play, and it does impact your confidence. Not that I teach that you need to be a certain way to achieve a certain goal, but knowing your industry, knowing your ideal super fans and super clients, and knowing the expectations thereof will really help you craft and deliver the result of any manifestation you choose within core desire and identity. So let's dive in even deeper into we're going to talk about fears in a moment, and what stops us after we identify with the core desire and the identity behind that and the details behind that and what it feels like. So this is where you're crafting your character, brand, identity. So I want to ask you again, your core desire. So it could be to be a showgirl, to be a professional speaker, to be a Broadway star, and you crave it like to a level that you can't explain, right? Or maybe you desire to be honored and received through your, professional healer work, and whatever it is for you, right? So the more that we can accept this truth and not make ourselves wrong or feel like we have to hide from certain desires we have, whether that's like, being a comedian and being really raw, even if you're afraid that you're going to be judged and, fail in the industry because of something that you want to express in yourself. So I would love to turn this conversation now into a level of going from transforming your identity from something you maybe are not fully identifying with to an iconic A-list famous confidence that cannot be shaken. And that is the core result of this, is getting really, really comfortable with fear. So it's about getting comfortable with fear and understanding it. So a lot of people are on different layers of their journey of understanding mindset, understanding fear, and understanding subconscious fear, and understanding self-sabotage. So I could rant about all of these subjects, but ideally we do more courses on each one, and you can get a really high value experience from each one. But understanding your core desires and the identity behind it in detail, and then understanding your fear is going to be, so these are two layers, is going to be the process for how you birth the affect and the effect of a manifested result, which is you becoming famous, you being seen and heard, you turning heads, you being honored in your talent, you being chased for the sale, chased for the role, you always getting the part, always getting the lead, always manifesting the sale, always, really just being lit up by the process. But the way that you can access this level of pleasure and this level of growth in your talent and in your understanding of what's possible for you is this core thing, which is understanding fear. So I would love for you to ask me any questions, of course, about understanding your core desire and how to awaken that pleasure, how to awaken your senses, how to really get honest with yourself, and then how to understand the character and the beliefs and the constructs beneath that. And now I'm going to shift into talking about the core fears of the industries and the misconstruities of understanding, or those fears that keep us from taking action into the result. I believe, Lisha, thank you for asking that. As far as like revealing it on this, I don't have it accessed specifically, but I have a process called Anchored and Activated, which we're going to dive into. So I would love to follow up and get that template to everyone that watches this and get that somehow implemented if it's possible. Otherwise, I will speak to it and I will write it so that that's really answered today. Thank you. So I'm going to go into fear right now, and then I would love to provide that that really clear process of how to ask yourself, how to dig in today, right now, tangibly, to get to our core self. So that's a great question. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to let it settle, and then I'm going to follow up with that. So part of that, I do believe, is understanding the fear. So I'm going to answer it again, actually. I'm going to use my metaphor of gardening again, and that's where we're going to start. So the template on questions we can ask ourselves to get to our core. So the core self is heart. It's like the innocence of self, and it's the unfiltered truth. Which is like a child being free and being expressed. And we learn these layers of, social stigma of how we should be, what it requires to be accepted socially. And we learn all sorts of stigmas and things that take us away from our truth. Because if I use my voice here, this person might reject me. So you put on a layer of the self, right? And then maybe your parents taught you something about money, so you don't want to outshine them or offend them. So you live in a box of limiting self here when you believe something differently at your core. So why would I speak about a gardening metaphor? I speak about it because sometimes you can't see your core self or your core vision because you're maybe living in layers of algae, or there's weeds in the way, which could be thoughts, trauma, PTSD, fears, which I'm going to dig into right now, and a lot of other things in the way. So how will you know what's in the way if you don't know something's in the way? And so I could, create a paradigm, but I won't. But it really is understanding the fear. So we are going to compare the fear to weeds in a garden. So it's about inner monologue awareness, actually, to answer your question. So as far as the template, I do have a training, which is navigating your inner monologue, navigating your character brand identity, or monetize your character brand identity is the training that you're asking me about. But let's talk about the inner monologue awareness. So this tool I like to be really simple without even a module, specifically because I like to create core impact intuitively in the moment and have it shift at a quantum level without anything in your space. That's something really honest that I'm sharing that not everyone resonates with, but when you do, it's really powerful. So I never want to teach somebody they always need something else before they can get a result. Not that you won't invest in things, grow, and require tools and strategies to get where you're going, like the photo shoot to manifest the A-list role in a film, or, like the agent, the business manager, the mentor, the coach that guides you and helps you sculpt your talent, etc. But what do you do, if you're experiencing PTSD, or maybe you are experiencing, a lack of privilege in some forms, and, maybe you don't know where to look, or you don't have that access. So I'm going to speak to that now. And this is the inner monologue awareness, where a lot of people are running subconscious thoughts without even listening to their anxiety, listening to fears, tuning into depression thoughts, and instead we make ourselves emotionally wrong for who we are at the core, and we ignore our desires. Maybe we're like, it's more important that I focus on making money versus practicing your vocals or something. So I'm getting off track only in the sense that when you become aware of your inner monologue, which is choosing to tune in to your creative genius, tune in to self daily. So that's presence. So the solutions are presence. The tool I'm giving you right now, if you're confused, anyone watching this, let's bring it back. We're starting again, grounding with the word presence. I will translate again what I mean by presence on every level of experience. Presence with yourself is where we start. Waking up, and instead of going on your email, giving your boyfriend a blowjob before you've peed, I mean, if you want to, but like tuning into self first and having that presence creates space so that you can then hear your inner monologue, so that you become aware of your true thoughts, your core desires beyond the fear of judgment for having them, fear of not being good enough, all the concepts we could talk about with fear, which I'm going to direct us into. So it's presence, inner monologue awareness, tuning in to desire, tasting your food, smelling, being tuned into your senses, tuned into your emotions, tuned into how do I feel right now? And letting that flow freely is what awakens your intuitive flow to begin the process of crafting that core desire, crafting that core identity, understanding the fears so that you can then navigate and manifest. But then we need to have the awareness of the weeds, the awareness of the fear. So a lot of people experience uncomfortableness in their body when they've suppressed trauma, they've made themselves wrong for their emotions for a very long time, they haven't tapped into their spark, their core purpose, their core desire, because their boundaries are everywhere else, pleasing husband, pleasing partner, pleasing children, pleasing animals, pleasing business, pleasing corporate, pleasing mom and dad, subconsciously in your belief systems. I could rant, but we get off path with our core self. And then we manifest headaches, out of sync menstrual flow, depression, anxiety, miscommunication. I could rant. And then we don't make the sale, we don't get the part, we don't take the action, and chaos spews. Let me ground back into presence. Presence equals awareness without judgment is the key, which is actually tuning into your senses, making yourself completely validated about your emotions and the feeling in your body. This is called animation. This is called emoting. So Shane Hurlbut, ASC cinematographer. Let's get into production, people. I know I'm burning time. Shane Hurlbut is a famous cinematographer in Hollywood. He runs his own Masterclass, which I have toured with him and been an actress filling in for Kirsten Dunst. Thank you very much. And I've been coached by Shane Hurlbut on camera. He was the cinematographer for Drumline. If you've seen Drumline and those iconic shots and the lighting and the direction, and I'm so passionate about film industry. So he was the one who really inspired and taught me how to muse. And so the core fear is what we're going into now. And we're talking about core fear and how it stops you from being honest with your emotions. It stops you from being honest with your needs and desires. Core fear stops you from going on camera and being embarrassed, or going on stage and risking being publicly humiliated, because it's really uncomfortable, right? It's human to feel uncomfortable on stage, speaking. This is just things we've picked up in our beliefs over time, right? So I speak about Shane Hurlbutt because it's about really going beyond the fear and then changing the story of that so that you can actually like sit in fear like it's a hot tub and start emoting it versus running away from it, avoiding it, judging it, shaming it, hiding it. So I like to use visualization as animation to translate. And ideally, I had animation slides ready and things like this where I could, click it and be like, here's my presentation. But what I'm saying is, I really like the metaphor of the picture of a garden with manifestation and understanding your mind and your character and your inner world in detail. And I really like utilizing the metaphor of the ocean and the waves and the universe to help people understand their own emotions and how they're interacting with the universe. And then I love to utilize sand castles as a metaphor for actual tangible building and manifesting a result. It's a little abstract, but that's why I call myself the abstract creative solutionist, and I empowered A-list talent babies, right? To be celebrities and make multi-six figures per offer, period, the end, right? So let's dive in even deeper. Let's talk about core fear, and let's imagine it's like a hot tub, okay? So we've been present with the inner monologue. We've tapped in and tuned in to just listening to self, feeling senses, having that awareness, tasting, feeling, smelling, emoting. We're present. We've allowed ourselves to be emotionally expressed, so there's no filtering happening. So we have the awareness of our inner monologue, and we have the awareness now of our core fears. Again, I could rant about core fears and digging in and coaching industry and templates to tap into that, but I want to talk about the core fears that come up for people. In the past, I don't have the exact facts on this. I'm quoting somebody else's work actually, but in the past, people felt like terrified of public speaking. It was one of the number one fears in the world because they physically thought they were being like publicly hung, publicly shamed, or shunned, or that it was like a spectacle of, justice or something like this. I'm totally butchering that. But my point is, public speaking and being seen is a really strong core fear for many people. So let's dig into the why of these fears. And it's just obvious, but let's talk about it. It's the fear of not being loved. It's the infant wound. So again, we talk about, well, how do you go back to your core desires? How do you tune into that? And that's really going back to your core truth, your innocence, the you that's genuine, raw, honest, expressed, the one that isn't hiding or filtering or living under these, layers of somebody else's opinion or projection onto you or something that's not actually true for you, but you're insecure about, right? So core fear is the fear of not being loved. Core fear, the fear of being, rejected, which is not accepted, which makes you feel like you're going to be dead or shunned by tribes, so the evolution of you won't last. It's a really core fear. A lot of people have a fear of failure, which also links to not being accepted, not being loved, not being worthy, being rejected. And all of these words of fear will mean something specific to you based on your core desire, your identity, your core wound, which is whatever traumas really, made you believe something about yourself, whether it served you or not. And then, it will connect to whether or not you allow a result to manifest specifically for you, like becoming a celebrity or publishing your work or launching that tour or album, or having those honest conversations that really empower you to be your best self and really allow your desires and your needs to be heard. Let's move forward. Your solution is understanding these fears, and we dig into them, which is what we do with coaching. It's imagining it's like a whirlpool in a hot tub. Now we're getting spicy here, okay? So I'm really sexual, and I even think you can cultivate sexual energy on stage. Don't miscredit me in a perverted, weird way with like having like an orgy on stage. Like, I mean, hey, if you're shooting a sex scene, you're shooting a sex scene. Professionally, it doesn't even have to be like an influence of sexual energy or chemistry. That's like a whole other conversation. But what I'm talking about is sparking that fulfillment, that energy, that connection, that core pleasure, because you're expressed and you're allowing it to flow through. So you might feel afraid of failure. You might feel afraid of rejection or humiliation or isolation, all of the things, public speaking, all of it, right? So how can you overcome that fear so that you can still manifest the result and be successful and essentially guarantee that success and be that A-list icon with super fans and, you know, A-list agencies and casting directors calling you and seeking only you out for the part, even if you didn't audition. Not that you don't have professionalism and do what's required of you in certain aspects of the industry. I have something to say about that. I've got about 30 minutes, so I'm going to try to get this really clear to finish us really strong. So I want to talk about a second core concept, right? So after we've sparked and we have that awareness, now we're moving into my concept, anchored and activated. What this means is if you imagine your fear energetically like a hot tub or a vortex, and you imagine that energy as actually pleasure versus something that's going to kill you. So if you imagine a wave, a big wave, and it seems like it's going to take you out, like maybe your goal is very ambitious and you have a belief that limits you. And so you're afraid that you're not equipped, talented, good enough to go through the portal of that manifestation. So you see that manifestation, whether it's making 5-figure sales or 6-figure sales. Maybe it's asking for a $10 million investment. Maybe it's building a $1 billion industry. Maybe it's speaking against something that you advocate for at your core level, but that you've been afraid to. And maybe it's being a performer and having an ego and not being afraid to outshine, right? So now, sometimes that wave can feel really heavy, like it's going to take you out. So we hide, we avoid, we go into illusion, and we pretend to be somebody we're not, getting off path, which is, I'm not here to shame or judge. It's just calling truth into the integrity and alignment of what you're identifying with now. So if you're afraid of a result, whether it's afraid of your own power, afraid of your own success, afraid of it being too good and crashing on you, afraid of that orgasmic pleasure taking you out, afraid of your joke bombing on stage and your audience leaving, right? Then how do you handle that tangibly? So I like to call it anchored and activated, which is my mermaid vibes coaching process, which means that you know that you have two choices in any moment of fear. You can dance with the fear. I guess I'm giving 3 options actually. But the dance with fears is like the balance in the middle. So on this side, we can anchor. You can choose to anchor. You can choose to ground in your resilience and in your roots and in the core confidence of you that nothing tears you down. Nothing is stronger than your willpower. And nothing is more valuable than you. So if it seems too heavy, or you're too afraid, or it gets too much, and I understand that. I understand the fear of being on camera in front of millions of people in the world and acting like an idiot. Done that. Thank you. And that's a really shallow conversation, actually. But I want to serve and, really keep coaching this message to you. So let's stay focused. You can anchor into your roots and know that you're resilient and cast a space of just like presence. You can dance with the fear, which I'm going to use a sexual metaphor where you can transform your mind about what fear means to you. Fear of rejection, fear of isolation, fear of being bullied, fear of being a failure, fear of humiliating somebody, fear of hurting someone, fear of all the things. And you can let it brew in your space like a bubbling hot tub with like spouts of water through it. And then you can dance with it and use it as energy that fuels you with magic so that now you're channeling something that people can't keep their eyes off of. The casting directors are mind blown by your work, uniquely expressed. You bringing your fear, you bringing your taste, your desire, your presence, your authentic emotion, your pleasure, your unshakable eye contact, your raw truth. And then if we're getting really gritty here, we could talk about like getting off on pleasure with fear. Don't misinterpret me speaking about self-sabotage or self-harm in a way of like abuse with fear, just to speak to that clearly, especially because we're talking about the entertainment industry and I'm an advocate about boundaries and communication and respect, yet I'm a wild one, let's be clear. So what if you could change your mind about what fear meant and you could change your entire psychological programming to believe that fear is sexy and it's pleasurable? And what if you could learn how to orgasm energetically with fear at all times so that you were getting even more abundance and even more pleasure from that experience? So if you're somebody, maybe you're a feminine and you know how to orgasm with water, I say water, but like a shower head or like a hot tub stream, and you know what I mean about orgasming with a portal. And if you imagine your fear is a portal that has energy to it and chemistry to it and vibration to it and magic to it, it's abundance. And instead of running from fear, hiding from fear, shaming fear, avoiding fear, you let the fear be very present. But instead of letting it drown you, you anchor or you activate. You anchor, it's not hiding, it's different. You anchor or you activate and rise into that energy like crowd surfing. Like crowd surfing, that's so good. So let's dive into more tangibles. I know I've got about 20 minutes, but I really hope that you understand these core tangibles about sparking passion, sparking pleasure, understanding your core desires, and tuning into your core self and your identity. So questions you can ask yourself: how do I feel right now? If I believed I was unlimited, what would I allow myself to think, feel, see, ask for, require? And that's where the art and the creativity really comes to play. It's like letting your inner child out and giving them a crayon. That's so good. So let's talk tangibles of the industry. How do you utilize fear, insecurity, and if you feel afraid, awkward, uncomfortable, if you know there's layers of you that's holding back, if there's layers of you blocking your growth because you're afraid of failure, so you're not pushing forward and failing on purpose so that you're transcending fear and taking those tangible actions towards your goal versus avoiding those actions, not knowing what actions to take, or failing at those actions, right? So you want to ride the wave of anxiety and fear and allow it to transform into pleasure. You want to reveal your insecurity so you're not hiding from it, so that it's not stopping you from choking on stage, choking in that audition, choking on the live stream, choking on the stage, I said stage, choking on the sales call or whatever it is, or running away from flaw and mistake. So let's talk about turning our insecurities into sexy and monetizing your character brand identity. So I'm going to speak to you now about know your industry. The unique thing about me is that I am very well connected to many industries, and I'm a very unique woman in the sense that I am an absolute innovator, which triggers and inspires many people. It just does. So what I'm speaking to you now is that once you've tuned into your desires, you've allowed them to be present, you've overcome your fears, and you've learned how to dance with that fear and become comfortable with being uncomfortable and allowing yourself to be loved in the perceived flaw or insecurity. Not that you don't have high expectations, not that you're not ambitious, actually that you're carving that path and you're manifesting and advocating in that level of ambition, in the energy of the character you wish to be, to play, who's inside of you now, but maybe it's somebody that you are avoiding. So let's talk about know your industries tangibly. I keep saying the word tangibly, but I want to make sure that you feel that logic and that understanding of how this translates for you so that you can produce your life starting today and get a really powerful impact in your vision. So let's talk about knowing your industry. How can you be a flawed, unique innovator while also utilizing social politics, professionalism, and charisma? How can you be an innovator when there's this yin and yang of contrasting concepts of all industries and it feels like a rat race? That's a rant. We're going to focus in. But it's time that you know your industries. So what I mean by that with industries is if you're a voice actor or a voice talent, you want to know your industry. You want to know the resume expectations that they have, because if you don't know the industry, you won't know the social code of how to be received so that your message and your impact can be successful, monetizable, and flow through. So what I mean by this as a voice actor is, or voice talent specifically is, in the industries, everyone has their own expectations. So that's really hiring the coach, doing your research, and asking those questions and being really present to follow the direction so that you have the respect and the professionalism without believing the stigmas that keep you from jumping forward. Like there's a stigma in the voice talent industry that says you have to be broke, it's really hard, the network is exclusive and there's a bunch of cults involved and it's dangerous, or it's exclusive so it's really hard to manifest so you'll never get the gig if you choose to believe that you're not the identity, character brand identity of someone who is thriving, successful in your industries. You have to identify first so that the energy comes through you, so that your fierceness and your acceptance of your core character and your understanding of that character. Again, I know that we've asked for a template and it is a specific training I do teach and coach on, so I will speak to that, but I want to make sure this comes through. So it's knowing your industries. Not that you can't defy it or innovate or, be unique, because that's part of being your core character. And that's what makes you stand out. And it's what guarantees your success. But if you don't know the standards, then you won't know how to thrive. So like if you want to be in commercial work, they expect a resume that's really easy to read. It's very commercial based. It's really organized in a specific way about, music, film, commercial, voice talent, and it's categorized and organized as a resume in a very specific way. I don't have an exact template to show you at this exact moment, but again, I'm happy to keep producing courses and coach you and continue to provide value on all the levels of value I have to give. So there's different resume expectations between voice acting demo reels, modeling comp cards and portfolios, understanding how to present your art and your character, which is what I'm going to speak about at the end of this. And then the charisma conversation, but I'm going to pause that. So knowing your industries, knowing the expectations. What are the top agencies? What agents are they working with? How can you connect to the version of you who has that result and then think from that person's point of view? Who are they partying with? Who are they investing in? Who are they networking with? Where are they volunteering? Where are they getting education from? Which ballet academies? Which gyms? Which restaurants? Which grocery stores, right? So what I did was I started to play in the world of Hollywood, where I was volunteering with nonprofits. I was going to the places where all the celebrities were, getting my hair cut where Glee Club stars get their haircut, seeing celebrities in the grocery store, just casual, no big deal. Waving, driving by Brad Pitt's house, and getting coached by, Britney Spears' co-star and choreographer, right? These are the things I've manifested by manifesting and playing in the energy of the result. But you do want to know your industries professionally. Knowing how to connect to your casting director, knowing what they're looking for. And what that is they're looking for your ability to own your unique character. So it is the embodiment. It's the embodiment of the confidence. But if your character isn't confident, but you're pretending that you're confident because you think you need to be that way and you're pulled this direction to fit in to please the casting director, you won't impress or stand out or please the casting director. What I've learned from Dot Todman, who vocal coaches Chrissy Metz, co-star with Mandy Moore on NBC's show This Is Us. The more, it's not this, she taught me to let go. She taught me chakra work with voice, which is another conversation of value I could bring to the table. But she taught me not to care, to pull my energy back, to be like, it's a paradigm, because it's not about being disrespectful to the industries. It's not about not being honest with your desires. Like, yes, I want this part. Of course I want the part. Yes, I want this sale. Yes, I desire money. Yes, I expect respect. That's the truth. Why would you filter yourself to get the part? Why would you filter yourself to get the sale, right? So what I learned from my vocal coach in Hollywood, Dot Todman, who has coached, celebrity Chrissy Metz as well on her work with This Is Us. If you're a fan of this show, then you should be excited. They're incredible people. And it was this energy of, I don't care, of I'm detached, because you're so grounded in your talent, in your passion, in your own self, and being in love with that. Tuning in to your uniqueness in your voice, in your animations, in your emotions, and then detaching from the part, detaching from worrying about what the audience thinks of you, detaching from even pleasing your clients, Not that you don't go above and beyond in customer service of how you give your heart and soul on stage, connecting spiritually and sexually and energetically with your audience while they bring their emotions, their stories, their experiences to the table, and you mix that, right? So it's not that you pretend you're better than people or that you don't care, but it's this new energy of elevated confidence where you can connect with yourself so much that you're not even grasping to connect to your casting director or your audience because you're so in the moment with the core real character of you and the one you've crafted, the one you've embodied, the one you've built, and the one you are expressing. And that is the sirenism that lures the casting directors so that they cannot keep your eyes off of you. And they chase you for the part. They beg you for the part. They have to have you and only you. And they've built you an animation and a franchise because they were so inspired by your unique heart, by your unique genuine service, by your unique talent, by your beautiful eyes, by your ability to see your value and not give your power away to the fear of what people think of you, like your audience, and that you can fully channel and be fully present with your expression of your gifts, that it makes you magnetizing. It makes you elevated to the point of levitation. It makes you stand out. And actually, I'm saying this and it's going to be cocky, but it's the truth because it's humble, which is what I'm going to end this up with. I have so many notes, but I'm going to let it flow. But it makes Jennifer Lopez's co-star, who's starred in 100 films in Hollywood, intimidated by you because you don't care what anyone thinks of you, because you love yourself so much with this anchored space you've generated and cultivated, and this love for your art and your expression. So if you're pretending you're happy when you're sad, if you're projecting a character of please like me, please see me, I need this sale, I need this part, or I'm gonna die, I'm gonna be homeless. So many actors are in the industry grasping for the part, wishing they looked like this girl, that girl, wishing you were smarter, more beautiful. We always think we need to be someone else, have another layer. But the real way that you carve and produce your life is own it. Own that shit. And then be proud to express it. So it's really tuning into and owning your characters. And so, yes, it's drama. Yes, it's intuition and spiritual core connection with self, with mentors, with ensemble, with audience. And then it's having that core anchored, courage and confidence to expect that vision to come through. And then it's the ability to know and ground in your talent of sculpting that you are so unique. So that's where the humble charisma professional mixed with the iconic diva, unstoppable superstar is how I'm going to wrap up this first masterclass with JD. So there's a difference between projecting and pretending to be perfect, which turns people off, versus embodying and being that perfect or imperfect character that's totally revealed, like a baby or a puppy that you have to fall in love with, because they're just them. The character's already perfect. So what I mean by charisma versus icon, because it's a paradigm, the fear of outshining, the fear of seeming. A lot of performers are perfectionists. That's another conversation, right? Man, there's so much here. Where you're never good enough. Perfectionism. I'm getting off track though. So, or you're taught we need to be professional. We need to show up. We need to be charismatic. We need to please everyone. We need to be perfect. Versus being this, I don't care, I'm already good enough, I am the part, this wicked confidence, this wicked certainty, this absolute energy that is unstoppable and that gets you the part, but it's ego. So there's this balance of ego. How do you balance what did I write? The masculine, feminine, charisma versus edge. And this is what we're ending on, which is humility, grace, and wicked confidence. If you allow yourself to be 111% fully expressed with wicked confidence, to fail so powerfully like Idina Menzel on New Year's Eve. Love you, Idina. I've met her in person. And Leah Michelle. And I'm sorority witchy sisters with Kristen Chenoweth. So when we talk about wicked confidence, I know what I'm fucking talking about because I have it. That's all. But it's ugly if there's insecurity mixed in with ego confidence, where you're afraid of outshining, or you're a perfectionist, so you're never good enough to ever release a fucking thing, and it makes you crazy. I have to wrap this up. But the humility and grace of I'm already good enough, so I have nothing to prove, gets you the part as star, producer, entrepreneur. But if we don't balance the wicked confidence and that iconic edge, that full expression, that claim over our desires, command. The director in JD is like the most powerful witch you've ever met, manifestation-wise. It's brilliant. The magic I can pull from any talent on my set is, it's just like beautiful. And that healing power is brilliant. But my advice to you today, I don't need to give you advice actually. How you produce your life is you allow that humble grace to anchor you, while you allow the energy of pleasure to flow through you, because you changed your story about fear completely. It's okay to feel afraid. It's okay to want to hide. It's okay to throw a temper tantrum as long as you're safe and respectful and have boundaries around that. It's okay to be emotionally expressed. It's okay to be fucking terrified and have panic attacks right before you go on stage. But the difference is, you do it anyway. In that energy of you've processed, you've gotten real with the emotion, you're aware, you're present, you're aware of your desire, you're owning it. You're aware of your character, you've tuned into yourself, you're aware of your fears, you've done the work, you're aware of what you're manifesting, you have that vision, you gave your inner child a crayon. You know how to build a sandcastle. Woohoo! So then you just get to play. You just get to rise. You just get to receive and express your best emotion genuinely. And you get to have that fiery, wicked confidence and certainty. Knowing your industry as a voice talent, as a published speaker, as a singer, as a Broadway star, as a business owner, learning how to build residual income, starting with one solution today in your core desire, in your character brand identity. Let's finish this up. Monetize your character brand identity. How to produce your life. Accept with presence what you really want. Go beyond the fear of being rejected for wanting that and fear what people think, knowing you're doing the humility, the grace, that you'll keep growing, you'll keep building, you'll practice, you'll rehearse, you'll trust yourself, you'll get what you need, the resources will show up for you, you have the strength, you have the confidence. So it's about making one choice today. It's owning one desire. Maybe that's having more sex with yourself. Maybe that's taking the time for yourself every day to journal and have coffee. Maybe you're not doing that right now. And then when you do that, it opens up a portal of now you start writing your songs again. And now you're like, okay, JD, but what do I do? You know, again, this is why I work with you one-on-one, and this is why you show up live to, Licia's masterclasses, so that we can all really support and coach you on the exact path of where you're going. Because I could tell you so many things about each and every layer of what you're looking for. And I could rant about all the don't do this, learn this, details of each industry. But I want you to understand that it's safe for you to take the leap into your vision, and that you can start monetizing that today. And it's as simple as, starting with one desire, identifying with it, and then choosing the one action and outlet that you're going to take to manifest that into your space. And then you build those layers from there so that your sculpture and your vision of your character brand identity, your desires to serve, and your talent gets to be monetized. So what does that look like? It could be, I know I'm interested in being a motivational speaker, but I don't know how to make money, and I'm afraid because I have a full-time job and family, and I don't know how, and I don't think I'm good enough, or who would want to hear what I have to say, or fear, things. But it's really taking that next step of saying, today, right now, I rip off the Band-Aid, and I take the next action, which could be starting a YouTube channel. 3-minute videos every week. Start today. The vision will unfold as you take those next actions beyond fear. Maybe it's sending in an audition tape from your phone instead of waiting to be perfect, just doing it. Maybe it's going to open mic night today or next week and really looking into how you can get connected with your music. And then maybe you can, get your vendor license and start busking and making money today with your music. Or maybe you show up and produce something on iTunes. Even if it's, a speaking podcast to start, and then you upgrade it from there. Or maybe it's an Instagram where you do raw performances, and then you ask for Twitch sponsor donations, or for people to, so everything has a solution. Every goal that you desire has the solution and the pathway present for you. So there's no such thing as failure to your goals. You can produce your life and any vision you desire. And there is room at the table for you to stand out as a leader, to be abundantly successful and famous, and to have super fans and clients that follow you forever because you stood in your truth and you allowed that to express fully, and you gave your heart and soul generously to your talent, but you held your boundaries of worth with the, I don't care if you hire me. I, of course, expect you to hire me. I carry that professionalism. I carry that worth in my space so that you never feel disempowered. You might have days where you feel self-doubt, but you have the tools in place of navigating your emotions, knowing you can, cry, write, dance, sing, take a walk, take a bath, pet an animal, go to therapy, whatever your beliefs are about navigating those solutions, but really understanding that any result you choose is yours and that the pathway is there. But first is you accepting your core desires, accepting yourself as is, so that you can be present with your transformation of who you desire to become. And then taking the intuitive actions as if that version of you, living in those thoughts in your inner monologue, taking those actions step by step, even if it's working at Starbucks in Hollywood, 25 hours a week, getting the insider information, getting a degree, supporting yourself, working at the bar and auditioning during the day. But do not take no for an answer is my point here. Because there's a place for your unique character. There are so many writers. There are so many people who need your medicine, your unique work. There are people looking for your exact character, whether it's the awkward girl, the fat girl, the one with dandruff, the nerd, the fearful one. Every part of you, you can monetize and turn into impact and money today. So if you have any questions for me about, again, how to tune into your core desires and your core self, how to uncover your fears so that you can go beyond them, even if they feel like death, right? How to overcome failure by consistently taking action beyond your comfort zone so that your resilience is so grounded, yet you've changed the story of what you believe about failure, what you believe about fear, what you believe about mistakes, and what you believe about yourself. And when you change that story about your self-worth, your expectation, and how it gets to be true for you, everything changes. And then you're open to see the solutions of how you do get to produce your life because you decided. And then it's just getting into the play of it. And yes, it requires discipline. Yes, it requires heart. Yes, it requires fierceness and being uncomfortable. But again, if you change your mind about what that means, you never work a day in your life. Your boundaries are always met. Nothing can stop you or shake you or destroy you. And you rise beyond what you ever thought possible into the unlimited. And the exhilaration of that connection of allowing your dreams to come through will occur for you. And your job is to admit that truth and take the next action today. Scouting the vision and then grounding the tangibles with accountability. Maybe it's 3. Let's see. My final message here. I actually don't want to share it because it's a whole other masterclass. But if you think about your vision like it's like sewing a project together or building a sandcastle, you can start to have that patience for the vision with that trust, with that accountable certainty, with that confidence, with the vision so you can see it, even if you don't believe it yet or you don't see it yet. And then shifting into allowing yourself to receive it, then you get to allow yourself to understand the next 12 intuitive actions to take. If I believed I could have that result, the next 12 actions I would take. If I believed I could be a showgirl, if I trusted that my soul desires were true, and that I wouldn't fail. We don't even need to go into the negative, right? It's like knowing I'm successful, identifying with the result. What next 12 intuitive actions would I take? So sometimes people get overwhelmed with intuitive actions because they get all over the place and they don't feel focused. So then you just give up on the result. So that's why you get a coach that can help you draw the picture completely and then help you reverse engineer and work backwards so that you're composing, producing, and manifesting the tangible result with strategy and action, while the energy and your identity on the back end is really, really solid. So just to brainstorm, if I knew I could make money making music videos, I would. Or if I knew and I trusted that I would be a famous showgirl and successful, I would join AGVA and then SAG. But I know that the Rockettes in New York, you can audition with AGVA. It's an easy union to join. It's accessible. SAG performers will barf at AGVA and talk crap. Everything's a process, but you'd want to get involved in like burlesque or something, or more dance and working that talent, right? Learning more about your, how you move your body, practicing modeling, disciplining your ballet, disciplining your jazz steps, disciplining your vocals with practice and with joy, putting yourself beyond your comfort zone so that you're really owning and claiming your unique flares of how you specifically perform and what character you bring to that stage and that audition, that room. It's having that wicked confidence with the humble grace that, of course, the part is mine. It's hilarious otherwise. A-list quality, right? Hilarious, not in a rude way. So it could be like, okay, knowing that I commit to being on Broadway, knowing I commit to being a showgirl, I move to New York. That might require capital. Okay, how can I manifest more capital? X, Y, Z tangibles of manifestation, solutions, all the things, coaching-wise. I might move location. Let's say you can't move location. Okay, then you're getting involved, whether it's virtually, whether it's traveling more, whether it's being involved in burlesque, whether it's being, starting your own, channel in that outlet. But if you're going cutthroat, we're saying get the agent, network with people already in that result. So for example, I knew I wanted to be a famous Broadway actress. So I worked for a few years for a famous Broadway actor who was in The Color Purple, whom gives me referrals wherever I go, and they were on Portlandia, and they have got all the connections. So I've been immersed in that talent network everywhere, all up the West Coast and the East Coast at this point, and expanding worldwide. And I really stood in the result of my uniqueness as petite. So if I was hiding my insecurity but I believe, models have to be tall. So why would I ever go after that goal? Because I don't believe I'm good enough or that I'm qualified. So this is where, again, I'm ranting, but it's about there's that innovation and that claim of your uniqueness and then transforming it into its own character so that it's monetizing and it's actually sought after because it cannot be replicated, right? Thank you. So I'm ranting at this point. I'm assuming this is where people are asking questions, and I would love to, coach on the tangibles of understanding the next intuitive actions and how you puzzle and how you problem solve any goal or any result that you desire, whether it's being on America's Got Talent, which again, that's you, messaging me referring you to my guy that knows the casting team on America's Got Talent, you building your marketing plan and being consistent with the auditions, getting a private audition, documenting your journey on YouTube, going beyond your comfort zone, being prepared with your presentation of who you are and your talent, having the practice on the back end, being prepared. But everything has a strategy and a loophole and beliefs behind it. So I just want to not wrap this up. I'm closing the portal, and I could say a lot more about how to connect with the audience and really move and control the energy of that so that they're on the edge of their seats with you. That's with, storytelling, with your auditions, with your clients, and really with your experience in your senses and in your sexual energy and in your pleasure and in the expression of your character day to day. So I really hope that this opened your eyes to allow yourself to identify with your core self, to open up your mind to really tuning into your beliefs and your inner monologue and your emotions, to understand your core fears and what those really mean and why. And so the more that you become aware of that, the more that you can, see the solutions beyond it. And then accepting those desires and really seeing the next 12 intuitive actions and putting the confidence, the character, and the certainty behind it so that any result comes to you because you have changed the story and you are producing it today with your one next action, which starts with tuning into presence and acceptance of self so that you can monetize it and you can be seen uniquely for your work and paid as much as you desire because you're unlimited. You can reach out to me at jenniferdodgepink@gmail.com. I have a website, a YouTube, an Instagram, all the things. And I'm so grateful to have connected with you today. Thank you for watching this. If you are looking for more of those modules and those tangibles, I have courses built and a process to coach you through of understanding effectiveness, efficiency, industry standards, how-tos of each and every detail. And I would love to continue to craft that for you and coach you on your goals. Thank you for being here and for being a part of Y.O.U University. We are so grateful, and it was my pleasure to speak today, and I hope that you got a lot of value from this and clarity and inspiration and that spark and that breakthrough you're looking for so that you know that you really can have the vision and you can have it better than you imagined, and all it takes is you accepting that and then asking for it so it can come to you. Thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you in my next masterclass and in my coaching programs. Have a wonderful life, and you too can produce your life. Bye, everyone.